Aaron, let me ask you this real quick. Obviously, the being even realistically optimistic for the future in America, it's going to be very hard to find to be really, really optimistic. I mean, what is the end game? What do you think? Like, let's say 20 years from now, what does the day-to-day American life look like for the average person?
I think maybe not 20 years, but 30, 40 years, where I think it will kind of plateau or stabilize, is we're going to look like Brazil. We're going to be a solid second world country with some productive economic capacity, but we're going to be highly corrupt. There's going to be different racial groups. And it may even be worse than Brazil because I don't think Brazil has the media, the education system, the nonprofit industry, teachers, and the government actively pitting. It's not even a long race, but different groups of people against one another. Now, I don't know about Brazil, but I don't think their women hate their men, at least yet to the level that they do in the United States and some other Western countries. Right. But in terms of standards of living, you're going to have, a pretty moderately corrupt, somewhat functional economy. You're going to be happy with 2% economic growth. They're going to print off money. There'll be inflation. Well, we're going to be a fat Brazil now that I think about it, because I don't see women or men losing the weight. So maybe we'll be worse off than Brazil, but there'll be such a lack of, and we could talk economics all the time, but how much money you got in your bank account's only one thing. I think there's going to be a lack of community or culture. Like, it will no longer be American. It'll be, well, I'm Hispanic American, and I'm female American, I'm a Caucasian American, or all these, and it's those, and there's just the social media is just going to be poisoning cancer, which it already is. To that, you're going to be more worried about, well, what are the other groups of people going to say about me today? And I can't believe those groups of people don't like me, or because I'm this skin color, I have that gender or whatever. And so I think there'll be a very demoralizing, complete divestment from one's culture, where it's just like, get the F out of here. This is my little community. Why would I, you already see it happening. Aside from Californians, I think everybody hates Californians, like intensely hates Californians. Like, I don't think anybody likes people from Portland or Seattle.
We hate Californians here in Japan when we see the Americans, because the nearest America to us, other than Hawaii, is California. We have to deal with those idiots all the time. Just like, can this guy...
I would say, people on the coasts are kind of worse overseas than they are even in America. That's saying something.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be like that. I don't think the United States will necessarily collapse or dissolve. Mm-hmm. Some groups of people are like, well, California will never leave. Their parasitic people need the rest of the productive people inland. Yeah. Same thing with New York. So I think that will... Well, we already had a civil war where some states tried to leave, and the union decided that's not going to happen. So I think it will maintain itself as one single country, but it's going to look nothing like it was, from say 1940 to the 1960s, where it was the dominant global economic superpower with great economic growth, decreasing debt, technological innovation, hot, thin women that wore dresses, which is the most radical thing, ever, and men that weren't just a bunch of saps. I mean, we're going to be a fat, lazy Brazil. That's what we'll be. Because there is more and more stuff we're producing. There are genuine economic and technological advances. But food is the perfect thing. I remember far back enough when food was a significant percent of the family budget. Clothes were the same thing. We had not yet gotten the yield technology to the levels we do today, or we hadn't even outsourced our textile and clothes manufacturing. So I remember, like, you would darn your socks. My mom would sew, oh gosh. And if you came home with a hole in your jeans, were you in so much trouble? Because jeans were expensive back then. You're in a lot of trouble. Now food is essentially free. Yeah. And you can just look at the human reaction to it. The reaction is, let's get fat.
Yeah.
They have, and so that tells me this is more psychological, Darwinistic, evolutionary. And as we have more and more things produced for us, more, we are just going to be, you know what it is exactly? You guys see Wall-E?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Where every generation of the people in the starship kept getting fatter and fatter. That's what it is. Certainly the Democrats and leftists and socialists and labor are capitalizing on this trend or this human biological fact. but it's nothing planned. It's very simple. It's like, hey, Charlie, I'll pay you $100 to punch John. And Charlie's like, okay, because hey, who doesn't want the $100? It doesn't hurt Charlie. So that's, I don't think it's that nefarious, but there are certainly evil, vile forces that are capitalizing off of it.